It's one of our most solemn memorials, but just how did the tomb of the unknown warrior come about? In a quiet corner of Westminster Abbey is perhaps one of the most solemn reminders of the horrors of war. It's marked by a marble slab with an inscription that starts by saying, "Beneath this stone rests the body of a British warrior, unknown by name or rank, brought from France to lie among the most illustrious of the land." It is, of course, on the tomb of the unknown warrior, and a book about it is out today by John Nichol, and it tells a fascinating story of how it came about. Very pleased to say John is here with me now. Thank you so much for being with us this evening. Let me say immediately, people will see you and might recognise you. They might recognise your name. So let me just tell people that you were the high-profile RAF navigator who was shot down and captured in the Gulf War back in 1991. But you've used your experience of loss to tell the story of the unknown warrior.
Well, it's an amazing story that I knew nothing about, Asad. You just read the opening inscription there. And so I've been in Westminster Abbey hundreds of times, and I've seen the tomb hundreds of times, but I had not fully comprehended what it meant and that an unknown warrior had been brought from the battlefields of France and Belgium in 1920 to be laid to rest amongst the kings and queens of the land. There are I think it's 3,200 tombstones in and around Westminster Abbey. That one is the only one nobody walks upon. No king, no queen, no president. Nobody walks on that. And I think that tells you about how important it is.
And when you started to do your research for the book to find out how important that is, what other elements surprised you?
So the thing that started this journey that I embarked on was the concept that somebody was telling me that just over 1 million British Empire servicemen died during the First World War, just over 1 million. And of those, just over 500,000 have no known resting place.
That's incredible.
It's beyond comprehension. How did we lose 500,000 men, either unidentified, so a body without a name, or there's a name, so we know that Private Smith is missing, but we don't know where he's gone. Yeah. And so I embarked on my journey, really, to tell that story. So I went back to the battlefields of the Somme. I chose one man on one day of one part of the Battle of the Somme, which was just one 4-month battle of the whole of the First World War. And I followed him and his loss, and then followed the unknown warrior as he was chosen and then brought back home and buried with great ceremony in 1920.
And this is from the First World War that you're speaking of. The figures are extraordinary even today. Why is the tomb of the unknown soldier and the story you've told, why is it still relevant for people today?
Oh, it's a story of our time. It's a story of loss, a story of sacrifice. I go to the cenotaph every year on Remembrance Sunday, and there are more and more people going to the cenotaph on Remembrance Sunday to recognise and to remember loss, both civilian and military, from all different aspects of war. So I bring the book and the story further up to life by interviewing people from more recent conflicts who have lost loved ones, and I ask them why remembrance is so important. And I speak to somebody from the Falklands War whose father was lost on a ship and his body was never returned. They never found him. And so she has nothing of her father, nothing remains of her father, apart from 2 returned letters that said, "Regret to inform you, your loved one died." That's it. There's nothing. And so our nation's need to commemorate is still strong today.
Very much so. Mr. John Nichol, thank you so much for coming. That's a fascinating book, The Unknown Warrior, which I know is out today. Many thanks for that. Thanks for the time.